Hello everyone, thanks for dropping by. I'll just shrink that down. Before I start, this is in the Dubai shopping centre, which is supposed to be the biggest one in the world, and Mo, his sister Lada and his mother probably know this area quite well. In fact, they probably walked along there before today. I got this picture from the Wikipedia entry of the shopping centre, as I couldn't find any suitable wallpapers, as I like to see people on wallpaper, which I change on the first day of every month. With people you can see over a period of time things that you would normally skip if you just glanced at the picture, like these two guys here. These two white guys here are homosexuals, as you can see they're holding hands, and the pair of them are into watches. If I was a multi-billionaire, I would invest in really high quality watches, which apart from being marvellous pieces of engineering are a good investment, as you can sell limited edition watches and at least get some of your money back after you've finished enjoying the watch, and you need to sell it for some liquid assets, i.e. money. These three guys here are Dubai Arabs. As you can see, they got the white headscarves on, and they were looking at these three women. And this guy here is a Saudi Arabian Arab. As you can see, he's got the pink and white headgear on, and there's his wife. I always think of the song Me and My Shadow when I see scenes like that. This guy here is a bit of a mangina, as he's pushing the pushchair with his son in it, and there's his wife. Why isn't she pushing it? Obviously she rules the roost and he has to do as he's told. No problem with these guys and that. They're either cousins, friends, brothers, what have you. And there's one wife, and there's the other one tagging along. And this Arab couple here, they must really love each other and consider each other equal, because they're almost walking side by side. This guy here is a Omani, as he's got the Omani headset on, the headgear. Same with these two guys. This guy here is from the Sudan or Nigeria, as he's got the Nigerian hat on. And this lady here probably from Malaysia. Anyway, enough of that. This, as you can see, is Google Earth, and this is the picture of the Earth and the countries that we're all familiar with. I woke up about 6:30 this morning, and I was thinking about all the various conflicts going on around the world, and they always show you this picture of them, but I couldn't help but wonder, is this how the leaders of those countries see the world, or do they see it from a different perspective? So, to demonstrate, let's go, it begins with an A. We'll go to America. Now that is the United States of America, as you all know. Oh, if any of you listening to this and watching this are American, you may not know that when you were at school you were taught that America was named after an Italian called Amerigo Vespucci. Well, it wasn't really. America wasn't named after Amerigo Vespucci. A Richard Americac here in England was a wealthy fish merchant based in Bristol, that's in the southwest of England. Records show that in 1481 he shipped back to England salted cod from a base he'd established on the Newfoundland coast. That's round about here. He subsequently sponsored an expedition led by a Giovanni Caboto, or John Cabot, to whom he gave a map of that coastline signed Americi after his surname. In due course, John Cabot gave the map to Amerigo Vespucci, and in the fullness of time, as the years and decades passed, when the map was discovered, probably been collecting dust for several decades, the signature was assumed to be the name given to new continent by Vespucci. Now Vespucci used the name Americanus Vespucicus in his Latin writings, and America is a feminine of that name, and the coat of arms of Vespucci and the personal banner of his descendants are composed of stars and stripes. So what you were taught in school, Americans listening and watching this, is wrong. Your country is named after an Englishman. So that's another thing you can thank us for. Anyway, enough of that. This is how the world sees America. Here's the capital in this area. No, it's not. Where is the capital? That's New York. There's the capital. There, that's the capital's there. This is how you all know America. But Mr. Obama, put yourself in Mr. Obama's shoes, whatever size they are, and you're sat in the Oval Office. I would imagine this is not how you picture America the other way. I would imagine that is how you picture America. You've got obedient Canada to your north. There's Quebec, mostly French. You got your back covered because you got the American continent, and your forward covered nothing but ocean. But politically, I would imagine the American government administration sees America like that. That's the political picture they have of America. There's Mexico. There's the border. Nothing comes this way, all the trouble comes that way. So imagine that is the perspective that the American government looks at America. Now if we, not just the country, we'll go over to Mr. Obama's arch nemesis. Over in Russia. Now once again, where's Moscow? There's Moscow. Mr. Putin, President Putin, sat in his office in the Kremlin. He doesn't see Russia like this. I imagine the other way. President Putin and the Russian government sees Russia like that. As you can see, looks very different. They know that nothing's here except ice, polar bears and the North Pole. There's Russia's ally, Belarus, and its capital Minsk. But there's Poland, there's the Baltic states, there's Norway, Finland, Sweden, and Russian border. According to the Daily Mail, no, I don't buy it on weekends. I only get it on Saturdays because Dad likes the TV supplement. And Rupert Murdoch's Times today on the front page, the RAF are going to be patrolling Romania to deter the Russian Air Force, and 800, 900 British soldiers are going to go there to stop the Russian army, along with Canadians, Italians, French, and all the rest. But there's the Crimea, there's the Black Sea, there's Ukraine, there's the Donbass region of ethnic Russians who want no part of Ukraine. I imagine that is how the Russians see Russia, not the usual way that we see it. Of course, it doesn't have to be Russia. President Erdogan in Turkey, in his office in Ankara / Istanbul, no, not Istanbul, that's around here. His office in Ankara sees Turkey from this perspective. He knows the Black Sea's to his north, so nothing's going to come in there. Bulgaria is only through the land corridors that can be blocked. There's Istanbul / Constantinople. Georgia is a Russian foothold, as is Ossetia here, but he sees the world very differently to what we see on the usual picture of the world. It looks different, doesn't it, people? The same for President Assad in Syria. Now once again, that's the picture we're all familiar with of Syria. But if you rotate the map, that's probably how the Syrians see Syria. You know the Mediterranean's there and there's desert, but they don't see their country map the way we see it, the normal way. They probably see it the perspective of this. You know Turkey's to the north, here. There's Jordan. There's Lebanon. There's Israel. There's Iraq. Now the same with the Jews in Israel. Netanyahu, the Zionist fascist in his office in Jerusalem. This is how he probably views his country. That's why they're colonizing the West Bank, and according to conspiracy theories, the Greater Israel Project is Jewish control from here to here, the Euphrates. What they're going to do about this, because it's mostly burning hot desert and there's no water, and Israel's only got a small population. But anyway, I imagine they could have always colonized the Negev desert, but then again there's no water, so that's out of the question. As you can see, just along this coast is where the rains come and it's green, and then it just goes dry and dry and dry till you've got the desert. But this is how I suspect the Israeli government views Israel. Not the normal way, like that, but like that. Of course, it's not just Israel. There we have Iran. Now, I suspect President Ayatollah Yatami, I think that's his name, in his office in Tehran, I suspect he sees Iran like that. There's Saudi Arabia. And the Persian Gulf to his west, but I suspect the Iranians, when they're taught in school, they're taught with the map of the area, so it looks like this. There's north, there's south, but it looks more logical to me if you look at the map from a different perspective according to the people who live in this area. The same with the Saudi Arabians. I suspect their perspective of the area is like this. There's Riyadh, the kingdom, capital, smack in the middle of a desert. Bit pointless to me, that is, but I'm not an Arab, so what do I know? There's Iran opposite them, big looming above their country, even though it's to the east. The trouble is, Iran is Shia Muslim. Iraq is mostly Shia Muslim. Syria is secular, but it's more slanting towards Shia, and everybody lives in peace. And Turkey is Sunni as well as Saudi Arabia. And of course the Houthis here are Shia. The war, if it comes to a victory for President Assad, you'll have a wall of Shia Muslims from there to there, and you're blocking off Saudi Arabia from the rest of Europe. That's why they wanted the pipeline to go from Qatar through Syria, through Turkey into Europe, bypassing Russia. But as Erdogan has kissed and made up with Mr. Putin, the South Stream pipeline is here. But as a poster on the latest South Front YouTube channel about the progress of the war here, Syria is a hub, and she could make an awful lot of money, but the Syrians have to decide what they want to do with their own country. Now, the country I saw last night was about CHINA, that's right, China, is China. It was essentially about the Philippines, but that was on the picture. Now, as you know, the Chinese have been building islands here, and it takes the formation of a butterfly. There's one wing, there's the other, and Taiwan is in the middle of it, the pivot point, which is why America won't want Taiwan to go back to China, which is a forlorn hope, because eventually Taiwan will return to China, because the Taiwanese and the Chinese are ethnically the same, even though Taiwan has a Aboriginal people who are nothing like Chinese. Now, the South China Sea is a big one. It's 3,500,000 square kilometers in size, or that's 1,400,000 square miles, and its deepest point is 16,454 feet, or 5,016 meters. Now, this is where the Chinese nuclear submarines with the Chinese ballistic missiles will loiter, just like the Russian ones are loitering around the North Pole and the American ones around the Pacific. That's the reason why the Chinese are building the islands, to impose a control in this area. But back to the Philippines. The Philippine president, I forgot his name now. You know his name. He's turned his back on America because he sees the American empire starting to go into recession. Hopefully Donald Trump wins in the election in a week's time or so, because we don't want Hillary Clinton in. She'd cause World War III, she would. Anyway, there's Taiwan. There's the Chinese zones that they've established with these artificial islands. There's the other region of control. There's the Philippines, outside, left on its own. Their current big partner, because little countries have always tagged onto big countries for protection, sees America in decline, so she started to get pally with President Xi in China, sat in his office here, and the Philippines want to become part of the rising economic power, which is China, and she doesn't want to be left out in the cold, because the Chinese territorial waters, which they want to control as the Chinese lake, is here and here. Now, just to wrap this video up, let's take a look at North Korea. Let's see, just whoops, the other way. There. Now, if you look at it, the map a different ways to the normal way of the Koreas. You see, North Korea is protecting China. To its south, you have hostile South Korea, with American bases there. You have hostile Japan, with American bases there. And for the moment, you have the Philippines with the American bases there, and the US Pacific Fleet chugging around here, flying the American flags, saying, "We're here, now what are you going to do about it?" North Korea is the security guarantor of China, because if North Korea fell, you'd have American bases on this corner. This is how I suspect the North Koreans see the world. Not the usual picture on the map as we see it, but like this. It might be speculation, but you have to look at a country from the eyes of the people who live in that country and the region they live. The way they see the world, they don't look at the world picture as we see it on the usual maps, but if you rotate the map, you see why they're doing such a thing. Like I said, the Chinese have built bases here for this area, and the Chinese are here, the wings of a butterfly, and with Taiwan in the middle. I suspect within the next 10 years or so, Taiwan will kiss and make up with mainland China, and they'll join the fold, and the Philippines will want to be part of the gang, so the Chinese will have this as their region of influence. Of course, if America contracts and the American Empire military bases start to close, South Korea will be cut off, so she might have to start friendly talks with North Korea, and Japan will probably have to do the same to get friendly with China. And also, where's Okinawa? The Okinawans are not Japanese, they have a separate culture, and they do not like the Japanese. They even dislike the Americans even more, so eventually China, this entire region, will be on China's sphere of influence, and Japan will have to live with it, as will South Korea. How are we for time? I think I'll wrap it up now. I'll leave it to 25 minutes. It's just something I had gone through my mind. I was lying in bed this morning about 6:30 to 7:30 before I got up to make a cup of tea, and I thought I'd do a video about it to use the internet, /YouTube, to give my opinions. Right, people, you know the usual routine: like, dislike, whatever. It's completely up to you. So until the next one, which will probably be next week because I'm going to do one prior to the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show, that's it for this. Bye.